You heard it, Randall. What we, from Horse, he's
Recording in
$19 billion worth.
progress.
Punawala. So that's they just started with start forms, and then their son branched off to Serum, and they are the top vaccine makers in India, and their wealth has quadrupled during pandemic, and he's worth $19 billion, and all from horses.
It's unbelievable. That's a great story.
Okay, fantastic. Good morning, everybody. We are very happy that we have now our second part in the series with Boss Capital Partners. Actually, you want to probably express it slightly different, right? Because I got a new logo, but I still stuck in my head with Boss Capital Partners. They are a wonderful resource. Pitch Global and Boss have formed a partnerships, and we will have a series of 7 total masterclasses. And Randall and Jill are both here today, and Randall will hold the class. And we at Pitch Global, we just came back, Casey and I, from a fantastic event in Las Vegas. We had 17 companies presenting there, of which 13 were from the Hungarian marketplace. So the Hungarian government sponsored them to come. And I have to tell you, I have seen some extremely good companies. Casey, you would agree, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Axel.
It was absolutely amazing. And so then Casey and I made it in the nick of time back home to hold our event today. And Casey, would you like to add something?
Yeah, we are also, we like to start the year with a very busy schedule. So on Monday, we have our life sciences event around JP Morgan, even though in-person JP Morgan is cancelled again, but we are some of the people and investors who would have gone to JP Morgan for deal flow. They are coming to us. So we have roster of very impressive companies there. We have 12 companies sold out, and there's someone is helping us build a life sciences committee. She used to be former due diligence chair of Kiritsu Forum. Her name is Mira Sirotek, and she is, very, very impressive person and helping us build deeper links with some of the investors we know in health tech. So Axel,
Yes.
So if Tech Futures Group, if anyone is there or not, just give their give their introduction and lead today. Ball is in your court.
Thank you so much. So, as Casey mentioned, Casey and I are EIRs in the government-sponsored program, which is known as Tech Futures Group. And this event is sponsored by Tech Futures Group at the same time. And we have had the pleasure of doing several events under the auspices of Tech Futures Group in 2021, and we can only look forward to further expenses. And our program today will give, actually, with the feedback of Randall, 5 companies the opportunity to give us a 1-minute pitch, and we will give one company the full pitch opportunity today because they were also presenting in Vegas. I personally think it's an amazing technology in the medical device field, but I don't want to take the thunder away from them at this point in time. And so the company is called Telebionics, and I have the list of the 5 Hungarian companies. Not everybody there is currently online, so we will wait and see how far they get. But I would like to hand over the microphone initially to Jill to introduce herself and then introduce her partner, Randall, at that point in time.
And Axel, I have to just add one more thing.
Yeah.
I emailed you just last moment, so you may have misunderstood. So everyone, like last time, everyone gets to pitch for 1 to 2 minutes. And at the end, because we saw the pitches of these 5 companies, Telebiotic and the 4 Hungarian startup, let them give a full pitch. And the people who pitch 1 to 2 minutes, so if we feel what they'll pitch will also, everyone else will learn, we can add one or two as well. So sorry. All right.
Now I understand. It's okay.
Okay.
Perfect. And hopefully the companies come online and take advantage of this. Somebody just came, Peter Perez.
Yeah.
Okay, Jill. The floor is initially yours. Please introduce yourself.
Perfect. Thank you, Axel. Pleasure to be here. Excited to meet everyone. This is our second time doing this. I come from the Boss Startup Science side of BCP. We are here to help explain the life cycle of startups and where and how to achieve funding. So Randall, my colleague, will be going through what that looks like for you going into 2022. And there's free curriculum at the end. My role here is to help you get into the curriculum, help answer any questions, and also connect you with the BCP side of our business, which Randall's going to go into. On a personal note, my background, I've been in multiple startups, gone through Series A through C through acquisition. I work best when a company is small and young, and I like to see them grow, get the funding they need, and exit. And I've worked with Greg Shepard, one of our co-founders who Randall will probably speak to shortly, since 2008. And I really built my career around growing startups. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to hand it over to Randall to talk a little bit more about Boss Startup Science, BCP, and what this can mean for you guys.
Yep. Thanks, Jill. And thank you, Axel and Casey. Really appreciate being here. Enjoyed the time on the last webinar. I did go a little bit long on the last one, which I think cut into some of the time for pitches. So I'm going to try to keep it at 20 minutes here. What I would suggest is if you have follow-up questions, Jill or myself are always available to help you with these things. What we're going to be talking about today is all leading into a free offering that's available to everyone listening to this and part of Pitch Global, which is the Boss Startup Science Essentials Package. This is a foundational package to help get your business to the next stage of maturity. So today, we're going to be talking about the life cycle, what it means to follow the life cycle, and one of those burning questions that every entrepreneur has, which is, what do I do next? And how do I know what I'm doing next is right? So before we jump into that, I want to talk about BCP. Again, my name is Randall LeVeaux. I am the CRO and co-founder of Boss Capital Partners, which is an investment syndicate. As you can see here, this is our criteria for investment. I'm also the CRO and founder of Boss Startup Science. Now, the way the two companies are connected is BCP, Boss Capital Partners, is our investment arm. Boss Startup Science is a company that houses the methodology that we use within our investment arm to make better investments and to have success, frankly. So over our time at BCP, we have made 15 investments. 14 of them have exited successfully, and one is still in the process and on pace to exit within the next year to 2 years. So what we're showing you here, this essentials process, is a tried, tested, battle-tested process and methodology that we've used very successfully, and we're now sharing with the ecosystem. So I got into this last time. I'll go very quickly. My expertise is in growth, which we define as sales, marketing, service delivery, support. So the entire revenue stream. Obviously, this is a foundational piece to every founder and startup. So what I'm able to do uniquely is be able to tie your high-level strategy down to the day-to-day tactical operations, right? Making that strategy come to life. So how we do this, and again, I mentioned there's two companies here. There's Boss Capital Partners, which is our investment arm, and then Boss Startup Science. Boss Startup Science owns this methodology, right? And you're seeing the crux of it here, which is our life cycle. What we realized, and this is an overview of last week, is that being an entrepreneur is much like a person being dropped on to a sporting or athletic field with no understanding or idea of what the rules are, where they're supposed to be, or how to play. unfortunately, when they're dropped on that field, they're typically dropped on the field with competitors. Think of these large billion-dollar companies that have unlimited resources and experience doing exactly what you're trying to do. You're competing against them. In addition, your coach, who are your investors, expect you to know everything. They're focused on ROI and the things that you do, the output of the things that you're creating, right? They want a return on their investment. What they're not explaining is how to get to that return. All the detail in the middle is often left misunderstood or not even known, right? So what we did with this life cycle is standardize and normalize not only the playing field in which entrepreneurs and investors play on, but also understand what it means to move to each level of maturity and what are the prerequisites, the things that need to be done prior to moving to that next stage. Again, this is all housed within Essentials, which is free to you. So essentially, by going through Essentials, it will teach you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and where to do it, right? Where within your company being the 4 functional areas: product and engineering, shared services, sales and marketing, service delivery support. Okay, so this discussion is going to be about aligning corporate strategy to daily tasks. By going through Essentials, you're going to know exactly what to do next and not be dependent on advice from people who have no idea of the context of your business, the things that have happened prior to you asking for that advice, the attempts that you've already made to solution things, right? It's a dangerous proposition seeking advice without having your foundations first. That's what Essentials does for you. So when I go through this and I was preparing for this discussion, the topic being, how do we prepare for 2022, all right? A lot of people are asking themselves, how much money do I need? What should I focus on? Am I going to waste money? So what I did is I compiled a list of the topics that I often get asked. I spend about half of my week, every week, mentoring startups and founders specifically. This orange box on the right, this represents the traditional questions that I get. Now, I mentioned bad advice before. Seeking advice from someone who has no context of your business, who may not even be a user of your service, is a dangerous proposition. You could get bad advice. You could apply good advice in the wrong way without this context. So the reason I'm putting this box up here on these areas of focus is because I typically get asked these questions. And what I do is I have to reverse engineer or move backwards in order to build myself the context. Essentially, what I'm doing is following a thread. Now, the reason I'm showing this to you is because I'm sure as you're sitting here, you're asking yourselves, do I have the right pricing? Do I know what my exit strategy is? How many campaigns should I be running? What type of content? How much content? Right? These are all typical questions that you have, and you should have these questions. But frankly, before you go seek advice from it, you have to follow the thread. The point of this is in Essentials, there are 11 courses that are foundational courses. You need these courses in order to move to the next levels of maturity. So let me walk you through this and give you an example. The first thing that you would do typically as a founder is determine what your target market is. The reason that you need to do that is you need to understand what types of companies and accounts could benefit from your product or service, and then what types of people within those accounts or companies will buy your service, right? So if you get your target market wrong, you will likely get your ICP wrong, meaning you won't understand the types of accounts. You'll also get your personas wrong, meaning you won't understand the types of people you need to sell to. If you don't know the types of people that you're selling to, or you pick the wrong group of people, you're then developing a bad buyer's journey map. It's not going to be applicable. Therefore, your campaign design, your content will all be for nothing. It won't matter, right? Simply because if you follow the thread, you didn't select your target market right. So I'm stressing the importance of some of these simple foundational things that are often overlooked. As founders and entrepreneurs, sometimes we chase shiny objects. I would consider everything in this orange box a shiny object. The foundation for the answers to these questions that you may have is found deep within your target market. One of the things, again, that is commonly and often overlooked by entrepreneurs. So now how do you know that you have this stuff right? Right? It's easy to say you have to get your target market right. If you don't have it right, you're going to get the wrong accounts. You're going to target the wrong personas. You're going to build the wrong type of campaigns. Essentially, you're going to waste a lot of money. Well, the way that this happens and the way that you make sure that you know you have the right target market and the right set of output for where you're trying to go in terms of your maturity, you need to do this from an outward in perspective, not an inward out perspective. So we hear this a lot, right? You've probably heard, put the customer at the center of everything you do. Everything branches out from the customer. It's easy to say that, and it sounds good and sounds right, but the reality of doing that is very hard, right? Typically, you're sitting within the four walls of your business, your head's down working on a strategy, and then you want to unveil it to the market. And now you're crossing your fingers, hoping that the ideas you came up with, the strategy that you put together will work. But you're hoping after you've already invested the money, after you've already aligned the resources and put the time into it, right? So again, that is extremely risky. What we suggest is that validation should come from the outside in. Before you act on these strategies, before you act on your campaign plan or how much content you're going to produce, you need to validate it from the outside, not from the inside. So how does that work? There's 2 points of validation that you need to seek for everything that you're doing foundationally, especially to start your business. The 2 groups are industry advisory group and a user advisory group. So very simply, the industry advisory group, these are subject matter experts that don't necessarily work in the business as operators day to day. They may have previously worked in the business and now sit atop of it as a subject matter expert, as an analyst, as a thought leader, right? Many investors fulfill this role of subject matter experts. This is one person. It's important to get their opinion, right? But however, they are not the people that are actually going to be using your product or service, right? So you need to combine their validation because they're going to be able, they have more experience, they sit atop the industry, they're going to be able to see things that you wouldn't be able to see. But you need to combine that with an actual user. Product market fit is a big thing that's talked about, right? And you want to get product market fit before you go to market. You want to know that you have it. The only way to know that you have it is not if an industry expert says it will work, but if users who are going to day in, day out use your product or service validate that this works. And the way that they validate that it works is if you give it to them, they will pay you for it. And if you try to take it away, they will resist it. That is validation. I couldn't imagine starting a go-to-market, investing in sales and marketing before I knew that the product or service that I was selling could be used and was insisted on being used by the user group. It doesn't matter how good your marketing is, doesn't matter how good of a sales rep or you hired some experienced sales leader. If you can't validate that your users will use the product, there is no point in moving forward, right? So these points of validation are extremely critical. Now, this is a high-level overview. I would be happy, again, offline to go deeper on each one of those topics or any of those topics with the audience here. But I put this together to show you, these are the courses of essentials. And on the right, you're going to see some questions, right? If you have these questions, these are the courses that you should go take. These are going to give you the foundational information so you know, not so that you get advice from someone else who has no context, but so you know what exactly to do next. So for instance, the first set of courses is your market. You need to understand your market growth rate, your competitor growth rate, average contract value, right? I'm going to pause here. The mark of a good company is one that grows faster than its industry and faster than its competitors. Well, how do you know you're growing? And how do you know that what you're selling is getting you to a profitability point, let alone a break-even perspective, right? That's by determining your average contract value. How many people do I need to sell to at what price in order to hit the expectations for my business from a cash flow perspective and also my investor expectations? Then I need to know my competitors. Are people undercutting me on pricing? Are they packaging their products differently and beating me there? Who are my potential acquirers? Do I know who my potential acquirers serve and what is their play? Are they expanding in an existing market? In which case I want the same type of customers as them, because by giving my customers to them, they're going to increase their share of wallet. Or are they expanding or exposing themselves to a new market? Do I need a completely different set of users and customers because they're going to buy market segmentation and buy a piece of my user base? Okay, this is important, right? And your market, how big your market is, your TAM, SAM, and SOM will help lead you to these answers. In addition, knowing your business. I mentioned product market fit is a big one. Part of product market fit is understanding the status quo. What problem are you solving today? How do they go about solutioning it today, and what impact do they get? And then how will you address that problem? What solution will you have? Is the cost of doing nothing greater than the problem? And what is the impact that your service will provide? And these are insanely important pieces of information. Being someone from the growth side who mentors companies specifically on marketing and sales, when I look at content, I do a content audit of an early stage entrepreneur. What I often find is they're not articulating the problem. If I'm a reader or if I'm ingesting the information, the content that they're putting out, I don't know what they're talking about, how it impacts me. They haven't built credibility in terms of proving to me that they totally understand my problem. These are things, again, that are discovered foundationally and then expanded on as you mature. Now, customers, we talked about ICP, ideal customer profile. Very important, right? If you get that wrong from the beginning, you're going to be developing a product, developing messaging, selling, and trying to service something that is misaligned from the get-go. That's a recipe for disaster and failure. Okay. The other thing that's very important is revenue segmentation. I talked about the types of accounts that you serve and the types of buyers that are in those accounts. Well, what if you serve multiple accounts? What if you have multiple product offerings, one that's sold to a lower market and one that's sold to a higher market? You have to be able to forecast for investor expectations what your revenue concentration is going to be. If I'm serving both enterprise, the big market, big players, and the SMB, the lower market, the type of marketing, the type of pricing, the type of packaging, the types of campaigns, the way that I hire salespeople to interact with those people is all going to be different. So understanding what your expectations from a revenue perspective, and then following that thread back to build your business around it, not only from the resources, but the type of people that you hire. And then exit strategy. This is a very important one. And if you are going to market, if you are building your product, if you are investing money into your business and you don't have a sense of who your potential acquirers are, what their valuation drivers are to determine the valuation or multiple of an exit, you're building your company based on guesswork. You're licking your finger and hoping that one day you will align to a potential acquirer. We talk about the exit strategy much like a GPS. If you had to go to the store and you didn't know where that store was, you wouldn't just get in your car and just pick a direction and start driving and hope you bump into it. You would find two very important coordinates. You would know where you are today and then where that store is. You'd punch those two coordinates into the GPS and it would route you efficiently to your destination. You need to look at an exit strategy the same way. Now, exit strategies, right, beginning at the beginning of a journey, when typically an entrepreneur's journey lasts 3 to 5 years, is tough. Your exit strategy may change. But again, would you ever just get in the car and pick a direction and just start driving and rely on hope that you would get there? No. You would pick a direction. If things were to change, you would reroute yourself, but at least you'd be making progress towards something. That's how valuable an exit strategy is. And then manifesto, right? One thing we often overlook in our companies as founders and entrepreneurs is how important building culture from day one is. So by determining your values, documenting your purpose, your advantage, whether it's price, product, or customer service. This is all going to help you to understand who you're serving, what the culture of your company is, and what type of people you should bring into it. Okay. Jill, you could talk to this, or Axel or Casey, but this is the link. Again, these are free courses offered to you. I would request that if you do reach out for assistance, I can guarantee a 99% probability I'm going to ask you a foundational question that's likely housed within the essentials. So do yourself a favor. Going back to when I started to talking about bad advice, if you want to avoid bad advice, get your foundation set. Have the complete context of where you are, where you're attempting to go, and then go seek advice. I promise you the advice will be better and you'll be able to apply it much easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Randall. Wonderful, great insights. And I can only applaud you for this because I can support everything you said out of practical experience. Give you just one example. We had a network configuration tool, but the original people before I was hired got contracted by the Department of Energy to use this device to turn off individual devices in the network in case there was a security threat coming. So these guys thought, we're going to sell gazillions of these devices to the security departments. Mm. And I did a couple of customer calls and quickly realized that every commercial customer that was out there said, you know, this is very good for us, but the networking folks makes the decision what gets attached to the network. So immediately the strategy had to change. You cannot sell to the security guys. You have to have them in the room, or they make an introduction to your target market that was going to go. The entire collateral, everything had to change because we were a network configuration management tool and not a security tool. The security was a side effect of this. Yeah. And they could have broken their teeth on that one, right? And it's so important that you do this front exercise. I cannot stress this more and more on this one.
You mentioned something great there, Axel, which is it's been my experience as founders and entrepreneurs, there's so much pressure on us and there's so much weighing on us in terms of dependencies on other people, our investors, our employees, right? Because of all that pressure, we are allergic to bad news. And we will take bad news, even if it's bad and detrimental to our company, and put a spin on it and try to make it positive. And I want to caution you against that. The phrase that I would use for a founder is that qualifying out quickly is just as important as validating in or qualifying in. So if you, for instance, I mentioned here the points of validation. You have an industry advisory group. They're likely going to say, yes, this is a good idea, right? But they're not going to know how to execute it or what to do. They're going to expect you to know how to do that. But they'll probably give you the thumbs up that the industry probably needs something like this. If your user advisory you put the product in front of them and they start to use it and they're late with feedback, they're not responding well, you're tracking their usage and it doesn't look like they're really even using it that often, or you're having to incentivize them or force them to use it. You need to listen to that. That is extremely important information. If you avoid that and try to put a positive spin, oh, maybe I've got the wrong person, or maybe I didn't give them enough time, and then you go and take investors' money and you put it into going to market and trying to sell that product that you couldn't even get validated by your users, you are destined for failure. So it's okay to get bad pieces of information, or negative pieces of information in your you want that. That will save you reputation, time, money, stress, the whole thing. So qualify out very quickly and do not be afraid of bad news.
You are so 100% correct. I actually broke from a company based on this. The same founders where we ultimately exited extremely successful. We started another company where we were told that a network recording device is needed at half the price of the market. And I didn't accept this. So I talked to 50 CIOs and said, so what are your problems nowadays? And it came out that the recording devices they have are only used to actually find network outages. And they go through traces, but if they would have gotten a device that tells them there is the most likely root cause for the outage. So I developed a complete new technology, and it was extremely simple. It was just correlation. And the CTO said, if you ask me to build this, I am out. Oh, why? Because that's not a high intellectual exercise for me. I said, listen, you do what you want, I'm out. Because I had already the market telling me what they wanted. So why actually bother anything?
That's a good point too, because, things are going to go wrong. I mean, we're showing you a life cycle that is trying to go out 3 to 5 years from now. I mean, think back 3 to 5 years from today. How much has changed, right? It's very hard to get this right. It's a better attempt than just, again, guessing. However, the power of the life cycle and going through this foundational process is not that you're going to avoid conflict or issues. It's that when they arise, you're going to be able to pivot very quickly, and you're going to know how everything is connected. And you see this when entrepreneurs, they just grow. Things are piling on top of each other. People really don't know how they work. So when you go to fix one thing, the house of cards falls down. Absolutely. You didn't realize all these things were connected. So
we cannot stress this together as how important these foundation exercises are. And we are so glad at Pitch Global that you offer the free access to the courses for our Pitch Global people, because if they take you serious, then this could save them 2-3 years and $5 million in their development, or even the shutdown of the company.
Right. Well, think about too. I mean, as a founder here, if I were to be looking at everyone and ask, how big is money or raising capital in terms of your biggest problems? How much time do you spend? I mean, it's got to be more than 50%. When I was a founder, I spent at least 50% of my time raising money. And then I would say almost another 50% managing the people that I raised the money from to keep them happy and, that I was doing the right things, right? So when do I have time to actually work on the business? So when we started developing this Boss Essentials process, this foundational thing, the real reason was we were almost developing it from a way to increase investor confidence. So it just would be easier to raise money. As you go through the courses of Essentials, you'll see that essentially what you're doing is you're creating your pitch deck. The output that you'll be sent as a result of completing each course will be in the format of a slide or two. You merge these slides together, you have a pitch deck. Within this pitch deck now, you have every question that an investor could want to know and the answer to it to raise their confidence. So you don't have to spend as much time managing them in order to get the money, right? It will become a lot easier. So another benefit from Essentials.
Again, thank you so much. And you're actually not gone because now comes the interesting part that we will give live feedback to our companies. And initially we are starting out with our 1-minute pitches, and everybody has an opportunity if they want to pitch for 1 minute, but it has to be 1 minute, then please unmute yourself. And this is Ria Moore. Introduce yourself. And the time goes.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Ray Moore. I'm the founder of Fortress Secure. Fortress Secure is a data security solution that focuses on encryption and securing data, whether it be on-premise or on the cloud. The beautiful thing about our technology that differentiates us from the rest of the competition is it's a keyless solution. So there are no keys for a bad actor to grab a hold to. We're currently engaged with Intel, Washington Digital, Dell, literally looking for a lot of feedback with, with what I understand about Boss and Boss Capital and what you guys are currently doing. Got a 1-minute pitch here. But see, I know I'm missing something. The space that we really focus on is regulated spaces. It's anywhere where data security is more than just a check mark. So you think about compliance, regulation, marketplaces, banking, financial, insurance companies, hospital, healthcare, government spaces. So that's really our space in what we're targeting. Current partners, I think I mentioned Washington Digital, Dell, AWS, to mention a few. AWS is partnered with us on FedRAMP certification. I'm not sure how much more time I have, but I'll stop there, and hopefully if you want me to carry on, I can.
Well, Randall, what do you say?
How much funding are you seeking, and what are you looking to do with it?
Today we have an MVP product today, so we're looking for about $5 million to really take the technology to market. The beautiful thing is that we have a legacy product that currently the NSA, Boeing, Microsoft is using today, and we can talk about that later. The company's been around since 2017, late 2017. Hope I've answered that question.
So is the MVP being sold today?
No, it's not. We're releasing it literally this quarter. We wanted to hold off till the new year. I mean, to be quite honest with you, COVID really kind of poked us in the eye in a big way over the last 8 months. So it's caused us a tremendous amount of pain. Investors coming in, then uncertain about the investment and where we're going. So it really did cause us some pain.
Yeah. Well, and I could talk to you after. I think you messaged me, so we'll follow up after. But one thing, so MVP is great, and I'm glad, some people skip the MVP process, which again, in terms of validation, that's an extremely dangerous thing to do. If I'm you right now, I would be very focused on my industry advisory board and my user advisory board, and I'd get them to validate this MVP product before I'd attempt to bring it to market. So I'd set up a focus group, user group, a process for feedback, right? Try to conduct it in a week or 2 weeks or whatever the life cycle would be for someone using your product or service. Collect that information, get additional product requirements, right? And validate that your MVP can stand in the market alone without additional features or roadmap items for it. And I could share more with you about that later, but sounds like a very interesting business. The other thing I appreciate
that we are currently in a POC with Dell, Intel. Intel has been one of our biggest partners and supporters. And then we're working on a POC with Washington Digital as well. Again, we really focus on where data security is more than just a check mark, but I'm here you loud and clear, and I look forward to speaking with you later.
And that's cool, because I'm sure Dell not only is a potential partner for you, but a potential acquirer. And I would be also starting to have questions with them from their perspective, like try to understand the why behind the partnership. Why are they willing to do this? Did they attempt to build it and failed at it? Are they also considering building it? Are they partnering with anyone similar to you? Because what they're likely doing is starting the courting process for a potential acquisition. And acquirers look at three things: your technology, your customers, and the culture fit. And so it's great to do that with a partnership, but you could start to determine, all right, if you were to acquire a company like me, because you can't build this yourself, what are the multiple drivers? Is it number of customers? Is it revenue growth? Are you buying my technology, my people, my customer base, right? And this will help you once you get past your MVP stage to know how to build the company. Because if they're only interested in your technology, you want to keep a very low overhead and build this business without, outsource a lot of things, right? Because they're not interested in your burn of people. They're going to get rid of the people when they acquire the company. They just want the technology, or vice versa. Maybe they want a very strong executive team. So again, important to have those questions very early with your potential partners or acquirers.
And I have myself 7 years experience in the security industry. My company was acquired by ArcSight. So Axel at Pitch Global, if you want 15-minute feedback, including about POCs, because POCs without an attached outcome are pretty predefined attached outcome. I was working for the best senior VP of worldwide sales in my career. And boy, was it hard to even get a POC out of him. And I tell you then when you talk to me in person about it.
And Rhea has, I think we will give him a full 6-minute pitch later on. So we want to hear, because I think audience will learn from your pitch. So why don't you start preparing, and maybe in about 10-15 minutes, we will hear a full-blown pitch from you. So can you prepare?
I really appreciate the opportunity. Actually, as I text Randall, have an emergency that needs my attention. I really wanted to, be on this call the next hour and a half, but I've got to run, and I apologize. I really am interested in what you guys are offering here and would like to follow up. So I think this is pretty valuable for where we're sitting at today as a company.
Can you just then at least give a 2-minute right now, another 2-minute? And when you give a pitch, you should say how much you have raised and how much you are raising and what's your revenue model, what's your traction. These are things, and team. These 3 things, because what you have raised creates social proof, and initial traction and team, these 3 people must hear in a pitch. So can you just mention these 3 points?
Yeah. So my team today is Dr. Federico Seminente. I have who is our CSO. I also have Michael Green, who's our CEO, spent 30 years with Intel. And also we have Woody and Jornson, former CFO with APW here in North America. My advisory board consists of Ken Schneiderman from Symantec, Ram Appalaraju from Cisco, and also I do engage Tech Futures, the team over there at Tech Futures a lot who are aware of us, Han Wong, who's a part of that organization. Our model, our financial model is a SaaS model, and we also look at direct licenses as well. I think I'm missing one point you had asked, and
the funding till now, how much has been invested and how much you're raising?
We've bootstrapped the company, my partner and myself, for about 85% of the funding today, and that's about $5 million.
Okay. And how much are you raising?
We're looking for $5 million to take our flagship to market.
I see. Okay. All right. That's enough information for us to process.
I'm looking forward to speaking with you because the devil is in the detail. The one thing I actually learned, security is the hardest. ArcSight, reaching $360 million in sales, being acquired for $1.5 billion by HP, never sold their SIM solution as a security technology. The reason is why is security is an insurance policy and so they were from compliance. Everybody that gave them big checks, they wanted the fig leaf that they are compliant because everybody knew that the breaches could not be prevented to begin with. So I'm looking forward to speaking in detail with you because the devil is in this detail, in particular in the security industry.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate all of your time. And again, I look forward to furthering our discussions here in the next days.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Great.
See ya. Hey, QRS Web. What's up?
Hi, Randa. Good to
How
see
you
you
doing?
again.
Good to see you. Sorry,
Yeah,
we met each other a couple months ago on something similar to this. So good to see you.
Same here. So I'm Mr. Azel.
Yeah.
Hi, Azel.
Give us a 1-minute pitch, please.
Thank you, please. My name is Kukoyi Akinola Bayomi. I'm the CEO co-founder of QRS Web. It's an AI-powered content monetization engine that gives access to book lovers, researchers, and students alike opportunity to read entire volume of books without having to pay for the whole subscription. So what we've been able to do is to develop a model that allows you to read literary works by the time. So on QRS Web, you can decide to read a book and pay per time, per page, per chapter, and percentage volume. So you don't necessarily have to buy a book for let's say $25. And all of this came across, this idea actually came up while I was in medical school here in Nigeria, where we were forced to buy an entire volume of medical book that cost about $100 and something. And this book I only used for, let's say, 2-3 months, after which this book becomes redundant. So what our platform has done is that while you're studying, or anybody wants to read any business book, could actually read a part of the book and pay for just that part that they've consumed. So they are not compelled to pay for the entire volume of the book. So presently we're in about 6 institutions here in Nigeria, most of which is in Southwest, and we are pivoting into the northern state here in our country. Mr. Randall, when he knew about us, we were not turning in revenue. And so that was an issue for them not to invest in us. But now the good story is that we have been able to turn in revenue and we are doing great. And in a couple of months to come, we are looking at boarding Alcivia. So we are still in talks, and we have about 2,000 monthly users on our platform, and we are growing rapidly by the day. So we are seeking funding, so we can pilot to other institutions in West Africa, starting with Ghana. And we are scrappy and we bleed pink. Sorry, we are scrappy and we bleed pink. And we are looking at people joining us to fulfill our purpose.
Thank you so much.
So there is one purpose we have, there's one major purpose that we are driving at, is to make knowledge, to democratize knowledge. The issue of not having money to acquire knowledge should be a thing of the past. It shouldn't be at this century in our time, where if you don't have money, you cannot acquire knowledge. So what our platform has done is to subsidize this price for knowledge seekers, where you don't necessarily have to pay for the entire volume of the book. You just read what you want and you pay for exactly what you want.
Thank you so much. Randall.
Congratulations. I was just looking. We talked, I think it was 4 or 5 months ago, and you had one customer. I believe it was University of Nigeria. Yeah. And now you have 6 and 2,000 customers. So I think it's definitely time for us to talk again offline from a BCP perspective. And just congratulations, man. I for the rest of the group, I know a little bit more about this business because we've talked before, so I'll save my questions. But so good to see you. And
thank you so much, Randa. Thank you.
So the only question I have in the adaptability of your technology for the US market, and I come from the painful exercise with my own daughter going to college. Every year, the publishers come out with a new volume, and the teachers, professors insist that they read the new volume and not the 10 cents to the dollar volume that is available on Amazon, right? So I was always fighting with my daughter, why can't you buy this cheaper book? Why does it have to be the $560 edition versus the $20 edition from last year? How do you solve that problem?
Yes, please. So on our platform, we are sourcing materials from the original writers of the platform, of the book. So let's say you wrote a book and it comes in, let's say, 4 editions. Once you post in the latest edition, that is what's going to be available for students to read. And because we have found a way to reduce the cost of learning. So, for example, and the good incentives for these educators is the fact that they have the ability to reach out to other students in other institutions. So I might be located in, let's say, New York State University, and a lecturer right there, but a student in Harvard University can get to see my resource and read it, and read on it. So I'm not limited to just my immediate educational institution. So for us, we are bent on making sure that knowledge is democratized, and the issue of cost is not, it shouldn't be a thing. It should be a thing of the past when it comes to acquiring knowledge.
I have a comment here, Kukoi. What you just said, that you are sourcing the updates directly from the creator and the writer of the book, right?
And publishers, please. So
and
can I
that's
expand
very
on
important.
that?
No, I'm going to help. Just a minute. You can expand. You should say that upfront, because some investors will think there can be copyright issues, there can be legal problems in what you are doing, which you just said, that is a very smart strategy to get it directly by people who are writing it and owning the copyrights. So kudos to that. You got to bring it forward. Say that upfront, because that's a time bomb. If people don't hear it, they are going to think negatively of you. So good, continue.
Yeah, thank you. So please, we source our books from academicians, from publishers, and from aggregators. So okay. we source these books from the original content creators, because we don't have issues with copywriting. Then the thing of plagiarism has been dealt with on our platform, because we actually built a content monetization engine from scratch that allows you while you're putting your book, it searches to show that the issue of plagiarism is, once our platform could rate that your write-ups could be matched with other people's write-up word for word, is going to decline your publishing rights. So the aspect of plagiarism is what we've really dealt with. Then copywriting also, we've really dealt with it. Then also the aspect of you screenshotting. You can't screenshot on our platform. So our platform allows you a one-time use. So it is that if you buy a page, let's say a book costs, let's say $70, and you've only cited a page on that book, maybe you pay like, let's say 30 cents. Instead of paying for $70, you pay 30 cents for just a page. You have access to that page forever. So you don't necessarily have to come and buy that page again. But that is not guaranteed for the part-time billing.
Okay.
For part-time billing.
So good. You have now qualified to give a full pitch if you want. After 10, 15 minutes, just prepare a pitch, because that was the most important thing. Most investors won't touch you if you don't address the copyright issue, and you have done it, even though you didn't say it. Now I feel you're very fundable, and all the even nonprofits, impact funds and all will throw money at you if you do the right thing. And if you have the right mentors like Randall. I know feel really excited after you explained how you're dealing directly with the copyright providers and all. It's not that I'm a student, then I make some notes and put it on the platform. No. So that if you can address that, half the battle is won. So just prepare, and after 10, 15 minutes, we'll let you do a full 6-minute pitch.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Adri. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
So now we come, is there anybody left that wants to give a 1-minute pitch? If that's not the case, we are going over to the link.
Axel, I would do a 1-minute pitch as well, if you can hear me. That's Peter here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think we are going to modify this a little bit and just do the full pitch, because if less people are giving pitches, let Perez just give, because we were impressed with very much with him, the kind of innovation he's bringing from Hungary. It's very world class. So why don't you just give a full 6-minute
Give him
pitch?
the full pitch right away.
Yeah.
Peter,
Yeah.
if you're ready, or if you need a couple of more minutes.
You're
ready for the full pitch?
Yeah. Let me just open the presentation probably then.
Please, share your screen.
Yeah. Axel, I like to improvise a little bit, not stick to full program totally. So I'm always excited to kind of create, order and chaos at the same time. Structured chaos. All right, Peter.
It's called innovation.
Yeah. All right. Floor is yours, brother.
All right. So good morning. So I'm Peter from Heritage Digital. I'm founder and the CEO of the company. So actually, the problem we are solving is huge. There is $50 billion lost every year by one single problem in the industry, and that's unexpected machine downtime. And just to put it in perspective, that's pretty much equals to the whole of the revenue of the music industry in 2018. So that's a huge one. So having these two, we just decided to make manufacturing machines sing. We couldn't, but we could do actually, we can get them smart. And that's very unique that we can get pretty much any production machine smart and connected to the digital world, to Industry 4.0 in no cost and in no time. I mean, very low cost and no time. That's very unique. And why is it important? Because machine digitization is a solution for such a problem. Early adopters are reporting 50% reduction of that. And there is one problem with that these early adopters are rather bigger corporations, and small to mid-sized manufacturers want to do the same. Actually, 80% of them want to invest in digital technologies in the manufacturing area, but they are blocked because of 3 reasons. So current solutions, as they were developed for enterprises, they are consequently so difficult and too slow and too expensive for them. They cannot go with it. So what they need is something fast, simple, and affordable, and this is what we have. So our solution is really fast. It's really fast as a rock and roll song. It's simple as a punk song, and it's as cheap as a blues, if I can stay with the analogy from the music industry. So by that, we can have them improving their productivity. How? We tell them how much they lose, where they lose, why they lose, and how they improve every day.
What is an SME, just for context?
I'm sorry for that. It's a small to mid-sized enterprises.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry for that. And the technology is driven by IoT sensors and artificial intelligence at the soul of it. But probably it's easier to explain how it works if I take an analogy from your iWatch. And that's pretty much the same what we do. So your iWatch you can install in minutes. Yeah, you just put it on your wrist, and that's the same with our technology. Sensors can be installed in minutes, and there is an artificial intelligence and machine learning in the background of it. So this is transferring this raw information, business critical information, and what we are doing is and offering to our customers is very simple. Just take your health application. You do not need so much data. You need the critical data. Like, in our case, how much the machines are up and running, if they are done, an alert is to be given, how much I'm producing, and that sort of stuff. And this is exactly the same information that people are collecting on pen and paper. So these are business critical information they need. And by that, just like on your health application, you will get transparency. Yeah, you will know what's going on a dashboard on your shop floor. And given by the alerts, you can react immediately, and you can reduce your downtime by 20 to 40%. And your health application also coming with some basic analytics that you can take advantage of and improve your health. In our case, production 10 to 30%. And what is more is coming, it's in our agenda, is just like in the health application, not pure data, but proposals how to improve your health, or in our case, your production. And we're already serving 50 manufacturing companies in 3 continents. IKEA probably is one of the most promising one, and we are also working with the Connecticut Center of Advanced Technologies in the USA, as well as 5 customers and first 2 in Mexico. Market is very, very dynamic. Industrial IoT is already big. We are talking about more than 200,000 small to mid-sized manufacturers only in the USA, and the industrial artificial intelligence market is expected to grow 35% every year. So that's a very dynamic one. We are using organic growth channels and paid channels as well. We are just starting a campaign in Mexico. So by that, we are really aiming to double the number of the customers as well as a double of subscriptions by the end of the quarter. And of course, we have competition. There are 2, one in the USA who we are really closely watching. That's Ampere and Safi. But our algorithms are way better, as well as, as they are using power consumption as a source of information. Their market is necessarily way narrower than ours. Our market is way broader. We can digitize pretty much any machine, and they cannot. The team is really, I would say, is stellar. So I'm coming from manufacturing. My co-founding partner is coming from Fraunhofer Institute, holding a PhD, just like our CPO. Software guys are coming from Siemens, Eversoft, and the data scientists are from British Telecom and Morgan Stanley. And we have the whole team of covering everything from product design until customer support. So, and what we are looking for is 2 million to be able to reach 150 MRR in 1 year or so.
150 million ARR.
150,000 per MRR. This is what we want to reach by
Okay.
this 2 million.
Is it open for questions? Oh.
Yeah, this is what I was just going to ask. If you have any question, I'm really happy to answer.
Do you guys mind if I go first? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Impressive. This seems like a really cool technology. If you don't mind kind of going back into the slides for me, who pays you and how do they pay you and what do they pay you for?
Absolutely. So who is paying us is the manufacturing companies themselves, and we are charging them per sensor, which means per machine control. And it's monthly recurring revenue, and we are charging from $50 to $100 per machine. And what you can compare it to is, there are traditional ways of having your machine digitized, getting data out from the controller of the machine. But that would cost you at least $6,000 to $10,000 one-time investment if you want to do that. So this is exactly 5 years of our subscription fee.
Got it. Okay. And how many customers do you have today?
Around 50.
50 customers. And what is the average contract value for a single customer?
So you can calculate with, we are not yet there. We are just growing there, but there are some good signs. The biggest customers who we have, we started with our pilot, 3 sensors, then went to 10, 30, and now, they are speaking to the headquarters of them in Austria, Germany, and increase it to something like additional 70. So taking that, this is the route we want to go with our existing customers, but we can say we are not yet there. We are not yet there, unfortunately. The product was launched in March, so we only had 9 months to sell and upsell. But on average, we can speak about a manufacturing company running 20 machines. And, if you multiply it by 100, then it is 2,000 per month. So it's something like 25,000 per year.
Okay. Got it. And on the competitor slide, if you can go there, yep.
Yeah.
Is the market, how much of the market is using competitive solutions today versus just not even addressing the problem?
The guys are growing, so they are having and serving approximately 100 customers. So they are young as well. They started 2 years ahead of us, but they are making money. They are making already 2 million a year, and they have been receiving investment. One of them received 4 million. Another one has just recently received 8 million. So the market is started to accept such solutions, and necessarily has to, Industry 4 is here, and people are really suffering in the manufacturing industry finding human resources. Mm-hmm. I just got a chat with a guy who was speaking with an American manufacturer, and this guy was running 20 machines and had only 3 operators. He cannot find operators. Of course, it's extreme, but the symptom is that if you have such a problem, you have two solutions. Either you want to try hiring, which you cannot, or you improve productivity.
Yeah.
Such solutions are really needed to improve productivity.
So I guess what I'm trying to drive at is, are you in a share market where the benefits of your service are already known and you're taking customers and replacing what their existing setup is, or are you a new entrant to the market and having to explain the value and then sell?
Many of them are looking for such solutions. And we don't really have to explain because it's so simple, actually. You don't really have to explain. What we are giving them is exactly the same data that they are using already, but they are collecting it on pen and paper and Excel sheets. This is what we get them digitized in one day. It's so fast that the whole system can be installed. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to stop your machine for a minute or two to attach the sensor. And, the first results are there in 15 minutes and the whole system is set up in one day. You can compare it with the traditional digitization solutions, which takes normally years, and only more than 70% of them fail to be successful in 1 year. Yeah. And there is maybe one more thing. This is a do-it-yourself kit. If no one have to, it's a do-it-yourself plug and play.
Do-it-yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to travel. It's when we are talking about pandemics, I think that's another advantage.
Very cool. I have a lot that I could want to talk to you about. So if we can connect offline.
That would be just
fine.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Very cool. Yeah.
And here, Perez, I have some comments too. Now, you saw Randall's questions. I wrote them down. I hope you wrote them down as well, because those are things investors are seeking in a pitch. Now, people may say, I'm going to give such a great presentation. They'll be bowled over that they won't answer us all these questions. They're not. All that will happen is they lose interest. And once they lose interest, it's very difficult to get people's interest back. So your presentation, I have a comment, which is you have substance at the end. So you have to bring some of those slides ahead. And at the middle, you are very long-winding. It is like a lecture in Stanford or something. You are talking like an expert, whereas investor is thinking, shall I make money or not? So you have to bridge the gap. We don't need too much details about what others are doing, what is the industry moving. You are not a Gartner group or something. So you got to get straight to the point. You introduce yourself, great. Then you just, and you have to establish your credibility, which you only are doing at the end. By then, people are losing interest. You got to bring it forward. Say, hey, I've raised, how much have you raised so far?
2 million already.
2 million. You have to say that upfront because that creates social proof. That means you're not an idea stage, because the way you give the presentation, a lot of people, they just have an idea. They have nothing. They talk like that because they want to talk like a guru. They want to become the expert. Here, it's not about becoming the expert. It's about getting funding and being successful. So what I'll do is, why don't you take down these points, and we will, in 10-15 minutes, present again, incorporate these points. Let's do a makeover. I think that will be a really good, real-time lesson for everybody. And the very fact that you raised 2 million is a tremendous credibility. You have to say that, hey, we had this idea, we are disruptive, and basis on that, they already gave us 2 million, and now we are going to go to the next level. We are just not in Europe, we are in Mexico, we are everywhere, and this is becoming one of the hottest spaces, and we are already there. So you got to talk like that, and whatever 5 points Randall said, any serious investor will ask them before they invest. So just tackle the elephant in the room right away. Just tell them, this is our unit economics, this is our, this is the size of the market, this is what it takes for us to get a customer, and this is what we'll do with the investment, this is our use of proceeds. So can you do that? No pressure, but can you take 15 minutes and pitch again?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right.
I make
Could I add to that, Casey? Oh, go ahead, Axel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I make one comment to Randall's point. You can find actually in other industries the benefits of what you're doing, even if it may not be 100% aligned. So 15 years ago, the wind farm industry continuously suffered that you had breakdown in the gearboxes, that through motion sensor technology in the AI, you could see the standard deviation of the noise vibration early enough that a 1 hour shutdown and fix actually solved the problem versus a breakdown in the strongest wind months, because the industry suffers from the being profitable. So the railroad industry uses a similar technology to see when the certain elements on engines and cars are deemed to be breaking down, because the worst thing is a complete train accident. You can borrow from this, as this is not a new way of thinking. You are now mirroring available technology and your devices that you add onto the manufacturing process to create similar benefits.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
And just to the pitches in general, I'll give you like candid feedback from an investor perspective here. When I'm sitting on a pitch, first off, there are roles, right? I expect as an investor, the person pitching to me to be an expert. And what is an expert really good at? Taking complex things and boiling them down to something that everyday people can understand. Point being is, I'm, as an investor, never going to be an expert in your industry or in your space. That's your job. But what I need context. So I start to get nervous if 2 to 3 slides in, I still don't have an answer in my head of what problem exists, how they solve it, and what the impact of it is to the industry. So like Axel and Casey said, but you need that right up front. Then if you're a business in its infancy and you haven't done much, you haven't raised a lot of money, you haven't attempted to go to market, spend a little bit of time on any traction you have so far, and then focus the rest on what you plan to do next. Because that's really what you're asking me for money. I want to give you the money, but in order for me to give it to you and feel good about it, I have to know what you're going to do with it and be on the same page and agree.
I see. Yeah.
So yeah. And it's our instinct as founders. We're so passionate about the topic. We want to really, really explain what it is we're doing. And the reality is in a pitch, you only need a little bit of that. And the clock is ticking to see, can you articulate it very quickly for me so I can understand it?
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, great feedback.
So our next presenter up is Arias Shap from Telebionics. I hope you're ready.
Yes. And he'll give the full pitch as well.
Sorry? 6 minutes, right?
Yeah.
6
6
minutes.
minutes.
Okay, just let me get the presentation up.
Knock us dead.
Okay.
And by the way, that feedback
you
was for
guys-
the group, not just for Peter. Peter, you did a great job. You have a great pitch. Still interested in speaking.
Thanks so much.
do you guys see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we're ready to go. Hi everyone, my name is Elias Shbib. I am the CEO and co-founder of Telebionics. Telebionics is California medtech innovation company, and we have created the device that will finally enable the transformation of digital health with 7-in-1 device that fits in the palm of your hands, providing crucial state on the patient real time, eliminating over 75% of doctor visits. Telebionics transforming the remote care market, enabling any clinician to receive patient vital sign accurately from anywhere with RemoSense. A simple, compact, easy to use device. RemoSense will free up bottleneck of clinician shortage by eliminating unnecessary visit, cutting healthcare costs dramatically, and finally enable patients to be treated from the comfort of their home with no hassle of scheduling or attending appointment. And behind every great innovation is a great team. We have assembled a leadership team with many years of experience and proven record of delivering transformative and disruptive products at top companies like Apple, Amazon, Tesla. My partner Willie and I have already 2 successful exits from company in cybersecurity and in automation. We have a world-class domain expert who believe in us, putting their time and name on Telebionics' mission to success in company and institution in cardiology, life science, AI, financial, and access to global organization that will open many doors to accelerate our growth. The recent pandemic show us that our healthcare system might be advanced, but it's also, The recent pandemic showed us that our healthcare systems might be advanced, but also highly unreliable during times of crisis. The US annual healthcare spending is over than $3 trillion, and there is currently a very worrisome and growing shortage in clinicians set to hit over than 130,000 by 2034. And what's crazy that 75% of all the visits to doctors or emergency room can be done by telehealth or telemedicine and are completely unnecessary, potentially saving almost $200 billion. But telemedicine limited by existing technology. We are just not there yet. To make it effective, we need at least 4 main connected devices, heart rate monitor, blood pressure, SpO2, stethoscope, and this is usually not cost effective or feasible for the household. What we need, and if we are talking about chronic patient or someone after a big operation or pregnancy, more advanced tools are used like EKG system. It's time really to take the telemedicine to the next level with Telebionics and our flagship products, RemoSense. RemoSense is a clinical grade, smart handheld device allowing patients to collect accurate and precise measurement on key vital signs anywhere and instantly relay them to their clinicians. It's simple to use, secure by design, and provide clinical grade results, helping patients benefit from high quality of care from their own home while cutting healthcare costs and visit times dramatically. RemoSense provides accurate, precise, and repeatable information for better remote care while collecting and storing data for ongoing monitoring and prediction of medical condition. RemoSense measures 7 different vital signs with high accuracy, all in one compact, reliable, and clinical grade device. Heart rate, blood pressure, SpO2, body temperature, 8-lead ECG, nearly as good as the ECG in the hospital, which has 12 leads, and the digital stethoscope for the heart and the lung sound. All data is transmitted via our secure app and stored in our HIPAA compliance cloud. And this is the actual size of the device. It's literally fit in the palm of your hand. RemoSense is fully portable, come with a wireless charging case that also disinfect the unit while charging. It's dust-proof, waterproof, but please we don't recommend you to take it with you diving. And we are not stopping there. We believe that the future of digital health is the ability to move from reactive to predictive and proactive. RemoSense predict medical condition and save lives. We put the best medical grade sensor technology into one device, paired with our proprietary algorithm for auto calibration and increasing accuracy. And on top of that, our AI correlation is able to take the daily measurement and store the data for a future comparison and tracking, helping doctor to make better diagnostic decision while alerting to any change in the patient's state so that they can seek immediate care before it's too late. Just you to understand the power and innovation of this correlation, when we show one of our device advisor, actually Professor Robert, the device and correlation for this first time, he nearly fell out of the chair, literally, and said that cannot be happening. He couldn't believe that it could all be done in this one small device at one time. He sees this as a moving research into better treatment and prediction forward. Anything from drug development and clinical trial to diabetes prediction to cardiac condition, pregnancy anomaly, and more. We are very proud of the milestone we have achieved at very short, intense period. Today we have the prototype ready for mass production. The cloud platform is ready to onboard customer immediately. We have a LOI of a pilot project, kickstart end of Q1 this year with a value of $3 million. Which will pave the way for us to access a network of 37 million customers. We have a solid pipeline of customers and channel partner lined up valued at $5 million, and we just signed a $600,000 term sheet with our manufacturing partner. Regarding IP protection and legal structure, we have Wilson Sonsini support, and we already submitted one patent, and we have 2 additional patents in process. And we have an accelerated path for the FDA approval through certified third party. We received multiple awards, but we are very proud to be one of the top 16 companies selected out of 3,300 startups as a winner in the most fundable company competition by Pepperdine Business School. We are tapping into $485 billion market, where our target within that is $367 billion for the telehealth and remote patient monitoring. RemoSense is a healthcare solution that can be utilized by anyone, but we see the greatest impact in users with limited mobility, the elder, people with chronic condition, and post-surgery patients. We are pursuing B2B business models focusing on telehealth provider and healthcare provider, allowing us to reach the critical mass of customer faster and cheaper. Our revenue, our revenue stream will come from device sales and SaaS models, recurring subscription models. We are currently seeking 800K addition to 270 investment by XRC Lab in New York, and the 350K that we invested out of our money. Our round objective, clinical study completion, FDA, CE mark, and to go to the market, prepare to go to the market. Again, in summary, we are the only 7-in-1 device on the market. Our cloud platform is ready to go, and we are about 6 months away from FDA approval. We already have significant traction with a LOI value of $3 million. And I'm ready to take any question. I think I exceeded the time.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And we enjoyed this already down in Vegas. And to Casey's point, Casey would probably tell you the same thing than as a previous presenter. You need to lead with some of the key facts in your opening statement. For example, FDA approval is for everybody always a nightmare. But imagine that you open up and say, we have a quick path to FDA approval. It's only 6 months. if you say we have an LOI for $3 million upfront, you catch the investor's interest at that moment right away versus pushing them to the very end when you may have lost them already, right, Casey?
Yes, but I have to add that it was still better than the presentation in Vegas, because here he managed to establish that you're a person of, status and worth by saying you've had previous exits and all right away, which we didn't say. So that itself is a big step forward. You establish that people are going to look at you, with glass half full. So you already, that is a progress from last Wednesday, 2 days ago. So that itself is a huge progress. But if you add to what Axel says upfront, people will, it is become very powerful. But kudos, it was much better presentation than Wednesday. Maybe you guys, they had just driven through and they were still kind of, tired after long drive. So, this is really good.
I advised them to take the video out, which cost 2 minutes of their time, because basically I find that most investors find videos gimmicky, especially when they are overproduced. Your little startup coming, you have no money to spend, but you're spending money on a commercial that is good for Pfizer, but not for a startup company. I always advise that this steals time, or where they can bring the value of the information across. But the floor is yours, Randall.
Yeah, I agree with the videos. I would probably unless they really help you explain the story or understand what you're talking about, I would leave it as a leave behind for after, just additional context. But to Casey's point, that when you listed your team and you put the exit on the two people like that, I love that. That was fantastic. And I think you have to understand the context of the situation. As an investor, you may think that having PhDs and enterprise experts in your early stage startup is a good thing because of credibility or experience or whatever. But I look at that as someone who's not familiar with the process of a startup and maybe hadn't been through one, and the enterprise world is so different from the startup world. So it's more of a red flag when you put PhD and all these things that have no association with the startup. But for you to put 2 exits, immediately I'm thinking this is a team I want to work with, right? They've been through it. They're going to understand it. I'm not going to have to explain this process to them. So awesome to do that. I think the one thing that stood out to me being a growth side guy is you mentioned you have an LOI for a company that gives you access to 37 million people, which would be 3 million in revenue. I'm assuming you're taking the ACV and applying it against those 37 million people to give you 3 million.
No, actually, the LOI, it's only that the existing customer who give us the LOI, he have already 3 contracts with 3 major customers in the US. And they say they evaluate what we have, they love what we have. We spend like 4 months doing all the technical discussion. And after they say, okay, guys, what you have is great. Let's start with a proof of concept of $3 million. And test the water with you and see how it will go. We are confident that our customer will see the value in what you do. And after we will talk after we start the proof of concept.
So the $3 million is you are going to secure $3 million from them regardless. And
yes.
Okay. See,
this will expand. This will expand potentially to access a network of 37 million people.
I'm glad I asked it because that totally, I interpreted that as you had a license to hunt. They were giving you access to potentially sell to 37 million. And if you sold all 37 million, you would have 3 million in revenue, which obviously is not the case. So yeah, articulating things like that. And then the last thing I had was I like how you showed the use of funds on the pie chart and had the percentages and everything. As investors, we look at those things as a marker to determine where the business is in its life cycle based on how you're distributing your funds. So if I look at a business and they're asking for $2 million and a vast majority of that is going into R&D or product development, that tells me that that company is not quite at a growth stage yet. They're still developing the product and not ready to invest in growth, because what you would do is you would raise this round and you would tell the investor, this is for R&D, this is for MVP, this is for whatever. It's going to get me to this next stage. What you could expect after I raise this round from you and I'm successful is this is going to prepare me for my next round, which is X. Is it growth? Is it scale? Is it more R&D development, right? So that would be another thing that you could do with that, is better articulate, I'm nervous that it's 50% R&D, 50% go to market. I'd either want to see it all in R&D or, most in go to market, and that would tell me more about your business.
And Randall, I see one little caveat in the $3 million, because if I understood him correctly, he said they are going to commit and then they're going to see how that works with their customers. That means this company is by one level removed from the real customer feedback. So that $3 million can lead you down the wrong path.
Sure.
I would go directly to the customer, at least at this stage, and not just rely on the $3 million ROI as a validation. What do you think, Randall?
I agree. Yeah, because you want that actual validation, but at the same time, that's a great point. I want to commend you though and everyone should listen to this, is when you're selling and you have the choice between selling to an individual or what we call an aggregator, a group of individuals that will all buy it, you should always go to the aggregator first, but to Axel's point, work through them to get the feedback from the individual. The thing that you have to be worried about as you approach the growth and scale stage is your customer acquisition costs to your lifetime value. And the ratio is called CAC to LTV. And what you're trying to determine is how much money I put in and how much they're going to return to me, right? And that will become your marker for raising future rounds. Now, if you tell me your LTV to CAC is 5 to 1, I know for every dollar I put in, I'm going to get 5 back as an investor. That's right where I want to be, right? So the likelihood of me now giving that investment, even if I don't know all the other things, are going to be higher, right? Because as an investor, I'm used to a 90% failure rate, just like you are. 1 out of every 10 investments works. So I want to know that, there's room for growth here.
Great. Fantastic.
Feedback.
I think Perez, Peter told me he has to go to CES for some meeting. They are calling him. So Peter, do you want to make any last comment? Just hold on. I have written down a couple more questions. So let's hear it. Can you give some idea about the customer landscape? And I'm sorry, I didn't get this gentleman's name. I know Witty, but Axel, what's the name of the person presenting now?
If you said that the current person from Telebionics, it's Agias.
Adias, can you tell us about the competition landscape? I didn't see any slide on that.
We have one. Do you want me to pull it on?
No, you can just mention us briefly.
The beauty about what we have today, that the competitor in the market, there's not too many doing the same. It's actually no one have all all in one. Like there's different devices, not devices, even patch. One of the competitors, they have only patch. They do only 3 vital sign. And now within 3 years, they reach $900 million valuation. On top of that, to the other competitor on the market, actually, we have better quality, more future and functionality and vital sign for less than the half of the price of the nearest competitor of us. And we believe the complete system, the getting the data, gather it, run it over AI, start to work on prediction, really on medical devices. None of them is working on that now.
Okay. Also, have you applied for any grant like National Science Foundation because they like to fund innovation like this?
No, not yet. Not
Okay.
yet.
Start looking into that. Our, Tech Futures Group is just in Northern California, but, in Southern California too, yeah, NorCal SBDC, the parent agency, they are funding UCI Beal. So maybe since you're in Southern California, I presume, just
Yeah.
go and research UC Irvine Beal Center. They have bodies funded by U.S. government, which could be a great resource. So start looking into that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. So any particular last comment anywhere? Did you hear what all the Randall's points which he mentioned for the previous company? What is how much are you paid? Can you just get into the unit economics? What is the cost per device? How long does it take you to acquire a customer? And what is the typical value of a customer?
We have also all the calculation here. I can pull it, but I can talk you through. We have a cap for the first year. Next year is $25 and will increase a little bit to reach by 2025 like $39. Our MRR cloud subscription also very attractive. The ARR also very attractive. Our LTV is $1,566 for cloud subscription and the device price. The retail price, we are planning to bring the products for $210 on the market as an end user price, which is like a third of the price of all these devices, actually, based on the tech. And $75 for the cloud subscription on annual basis. Now, the beauty about what we have that in Germany, in US, we have already reimbursement code for remote patient monitoring, which is $65 monthly and $18 for the device and $18 for the cloud. And we believe that same like what happened in Germany 6 months ago, that today the doctor can prescribe actually devices like us and the apps and the cloud and everything, and will be reimbursed by the insurance. This other country in the US and other country in Europe will follow.
Okay, that's
and
good.
This will be no brainer actually for the revenue, because
that's also a valuable thing to put on the slide. Say that you expect that with the FDA approval, by the same time, insurance will also follow. So I think that's a great point.
And actually,
yeah, go ahead.
Third, Casey, a $25 production cost and market value of $250 per device, I would actually not sell it. I would make a
but the cost is not $25. The cost is not 20. It's higher.
How much?
We think we can bring it down up to $48 per year.
$48. Patient monitoring as a service. I would not divide my sales strategy into SaaS plus a hardware sale model. Make it all one SaaS solution or SaaS solution. For $48, it's too much work for the sales force. Totally different type of thinking. For selling something and getting service revenue, I put it all in one service.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, you're nodding.
You're saying give them the device and then charge for the service after?
I actually would charge a little bit more for the service, and you get the device for free.
Yeah,
Absolutely
like
correct.
We talk actually to a couple of customers, and we identify our best go-to-market telehealth providers and healthcare providers. Now, some of the telehealth providers, exactly, we discussed with them that we might do it only subscription based. They will commit 6 months, and then it will be subscription based, including everything. They will offer it to their customers actually on top of their existing subscription. Other, they say we will buy everything from you and we will offer it to our customer, add value and differentiator from any other services on the market.
And maybe you can also think about leasing the device from a contract manufacturer instead of, producing yourself. All these, sometimes you have to generate more and more options and play around. Because initially, before economies of scale kicks in and you get a lot of orders, obviously costs will come down. But at the beginning, when money is the premium, then cost is also high. So that's the lose-lose. How can you turn it into win-win and find the sweet spot? Ultimately, there's no right answer. You got to play around with different possibilities and the right sweet spot will emerge. But great, fantastic, learned a lot. And Axel, I think Peter
has to be up now.
He has to go to CES, but does he have any final word? Peter, do you want to say anything?
No, I mean, thank you so much for the feedback. It's very useful already. Absolutely fantastic thing.
If you want to speak again, few minutes, you're welcome. Choice is yours right now.
I'm all right for the moment, I guess. If you have still any question, I'm really happy to answer. Surrender, I just dropped here a chat here. Would be great catching up. I'm not sure how to do the practicalities. Maybe I can share. We can share email addresses here, or
yeah, you can in the chat, no problem. And my email is axel@pitchglobal.com if you want to take advantage of that as well. I'm happy to lend you an ear and bring my 7 cents to it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I was in the predictive monitoring market in the wind industry. That's why I know the example.
Right. Actually, what we are doing is not really that. It's not predictive maintenance, because for that you need. It's a crowded market, and
I understand, but it still shows how AI combination with sensoring brought more profitability at the end of the day.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Or Randall, you have a question maybe?
No. Well, I put my email address in there and we could follow up. I have a comment on the telebionics. Axel, I liked your idea a lot. Thanks, Peter. Of giving the device away and then doing it. And what I was thinking too is in your pitch, when you were talking about the experience that you had with the doctor, and the doctor saw it and he fell out of his chair, right? He couldn't believe all that had happened. And what the connection I made is like, it's the doctor didn't fall out of his chair when he saw the device. The doctor fell out of his chair when he saw the results or the output of what the device could produce. So you're going to have to overcome a barrier of wearables, where someone's going to go, is it convenient to wear this? Do I want to wear it? Right? They're not thinking about the output or the results or anything like that. They're just thinking about that device. To Axel's point, if you just give them that device, tell them to wear it. I don't know how long it takes to produce the results, but you want that to mimic that experience of the doctor falling out of the chair. And it sounds like someone has to be using it and wearing it in order to get that experience, not just looking at it. So I 100% agree with what Axel said.
Okay, great. We are coming to your friend Randall now from Nigeria. Kukoi, have you had a chance to take a look and you can present us with the bigger outcome?
Yeah, thank you, Axel. I'm trying to share my screen now. Is my screen coming through, please?
Yep.
Yes, you now have to go on the presentation mode to get the full screen value.
Okay.
Yes, you got it.
So while I was in medical school, I had to decide if I was going to buy books or eat dinner. We are going a global tribe and large community of users for billions of people, from book lovers to students to researchers. We have a pay-as-you-go model that gives access to the entire world to read and learn in a more cost-effective way. As opposed to Amazon, we have a pay-as-you-go model. Users can pay by exactly what they read, as opposed to paying for an entire volume of book. So no one has to decide between reading and quenching between eating and quenching their thirst from the tree of knowledge. QRS Web is an AI-powered content monetization engine. We want to be the world's most powerful reading platform, evolve the way the world reads by pioneering and propelling content monetization through our reading models. So, So Have you ever had to purchase an entire book just to cite one page or chapter of the book? So that is what we are here to solve. We want you to have value for your money by being reading exactly what you want from a book, and necessarily investing a whole lot of money on libraries that becomes redundant over the years. Conscious of books are now accessible on QRS Web, where we allow you to read by the time, by the page, and by the chapters. We eliminate the cost and necessity of photocopying and enables users to pay for just what they read rather than buying an entire volume of books or subscription. Here are our models. You can read books by the time, you can read by the page, you can read by the chapters, and likewise you can read by the percentage volume. So you could decide to say you want to read a book for, let's say, an hour and get to pay for just 1 hour of reading the book. Or you could say you want to read for like 2 hours, 3 hours. Or you want to cite just a page of the book, or you want to read by the chapter. Book comes in chapters, so you might just want to cite just chapter 1 and 2. Or you want to read just, let's say, 10% of the book, 20%, 30% of the entire volume of the book. So these are the benefits for habitual readers. For habitual readers, we have developed a micro payment, a pay-as-you-go model for reading. Likewise, for the students too, we have been able to give them a model that comes cheaper and more affordable than photocopying. For the writers, we provided a seamless and intelligent platform that helps them sell and monetize their content. For publishers, we have a direct credit of revenue through a transparent dashboard, increase reach and make it legally viable. For media brands, what we've done is to create an higher reach, engagement and traction, increase revenue through user payments of per time, per page, and percentage volume. Here we have a page turning fraction. We are in about 4 universities. Just last week, we are onboarding Dennis Postema. He's a US New York Times bestseller. He's coming on the platform with about 6 of his new books. So he's going to be pioneering our markets into the United States. So far, we've been in University of Lagos. We've been in Delta State University and Lagos State University. And here in Nigeria, we've onboarded the Nigerian Publishers Association. We have about 30 plus independent, now it's about 60 plus independent authors signed up on QRS Web on the first day of our beta testing. So there are lots of books to be read. In Nigeria alone, our market share is about 131 million, going at a CAGR of about 366%, an increase from 2010. In Africa alone, we have about $1 billion in total market and a CAGR of about 6%, and the global market stands at 23 billion. Yes, this is the trend. We have an evolution of content monetization. They move from advertising. Last 4 decades, advertising has been the main form of content monetization. In the early 2000s, there is an exclusive content generation with little or no advertising dependencies, and most of the models has been turned on just subscription. And subscription has its issues. I might subscribe and I don't even read after deducting my money from my account. So what onwards, we are creating a new trend that allows you read at exactly what you want by paying by the time, by the page, by the chapters and percentage volume. So going onward, we want to be the world's most powerful recommendation platform to propel content buying. Yes, our business model, as I explained earlier on, is to read by the time. So you could choose if you want to read by the hour or by the day. You could choose the pages you want to read. You could select the chapters you want to read or the percent of the books you want to read. So you can read 10% off a book. Likewise, this is our go-to-market plan. We have, of course, right now, we are using word of mouth. So in Nigeria, a lecturer just has to upload his book on our platform, then come to the class to announce to the students to go read it on QRS Web. So we're spending less money on acquiring users. Here is our competitors: Amazon's, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Wattpad, and Sprite. But the good thing about us is that none of these players is actually having a micro-payment models right now. You only have to buy the entire volume of the book. So we are the first, we have the first mover advantage, and we are doing pretty well on, in our market. So this is our team. That's me, Kukoyi Akinwala Bayomi, and my co-founder is Oludare Abiola, and we have a sales and marketing. We just got out of an accelerator program, the GSDVS. So we actually got the founders on board as our advisors. And here is our first angel investor, Ms. Yemi Kerry here in Nigeria. So there is our roadmap. We want to move in the next 8 months. We want to move out to the United States, to incorporate in the United States. And we're starting that with a company called the Polymath Consult. They're helping us with a lot of research as regards market entry. And these people are coming on board not just to help us get into the United States, but they are one of our first publishers to join us from the United States by the founder, Dennis Osterman. Yes, we want to change how the world reads. So we are asking for about $500,000 in funding to reach the 3 million users, new users. So this money is going to be spent on brand awareness and commercial news, performance metrics and accelerator programs, hire talents, then build infrastructure to accommodate prospective growth. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the pitch. As Randall said before, it's impressive of what you already achieved over the times. I come with a little devil's advocate viewpoint there. You have shown us beautifully the 4 competitors, and they are very mighty animals, right? Amazon can do anything they want. So they have the reader technology. They just don't have the business model there. What's the barrier of entry for them to not enter your market once you're successful? And for the US market, we need to analyze whether an author that was in Random House Publishing and got his book published in conventional print edition has actually the freedom to give you online content, or whether he is locked up and would have to write a complete new book that he can bring online for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So for Amazon so far has they've uploaded about 3 million books already or more. So it will be so difficult for them to say, because the way we could achieve this was we built a content monetization engine from scratch. So any company who is going to be doing this ought to have put that in their culture right from the set go. So for Amazon that has already published about 3 million books, they had to go back and republish those 3 million books again, which is a lot of work. So for you to really charge books by the time, by the page, by the chapter and percentage volume is something that has to be in the culture of the company from the start go. So for any company that is big, to copy our models will be very difficult, because at this time they already have a lot of books already published online. For them to do what we do, they have to recapture those books from the beginning again. So that's one of the ways you want to keep the market. So for us, our content monetization engine is already in the 2.0 stage. So it's already in the rollout. Our users are already using it, and it's a seamless way of uploading. Immediately you attach your book, it segments it by distance, by the matters of the book. So it's not necessarily has to do with the attach and that's it. It goes live. No, every element and matter of the book has to be captured. That is what we've been able to do. And for Random House that has already published on Amazon, what we advise is that if you're going to be coming on a platform for the first time as a publisher, we advise original book. And in our contract in our terms of service, you are not allowed to upload whatever book it is, be it journal, be it a business book, be it any form of literary works, to be published on any other platform.
Okay, thank you so much. Casey, you want to say something, I presume?
Yes. So the way Amazon question you handle is really good. And that's what it's called, the innovator's dilemma, famous Clayton Christensen's book, which
exactly,
because existing people, they are vested in the status quo because they get, residual income from that. And that's why innovation can happen by new people. So the laws of innovation are on your side. So can you just explain a little bit more about the technology you use, what is powering this engine? And also to add to this question, I have a comment, which is it's good that you mentioned accelerator, because you're presenting from Nigeria and people don't know who's this person, who's this company. So upfront you can say, hey, we've already gone through an accelerator and all. so that itself gives people more fuzzy feeling, increases comfort level with you, which took us a while. It wasn't right away. So that's good. So can you explain a little bit more on the technology engine backbone used in your engine?
Yeah, thank you. So while we're developing our platform, we work with C++, we work with Python, because there's an AI aspect to it that checks for plagiarism and copyrights. So you can, the system works from a point of view that allows you, regardless of the format you have. Right now, we are supporting the Word format and the PDF format. So our engine is mostly powered by the C++. On our back end, we made use of the Node.js for scalability.
Okay, that's good. Axel, floor is yours again.
No, actually, Randall, if you want to make any extra comments to this.
I think I've asked a lot of questions here, and I mean, dude, your deck looks better too. You did a great job with the deck compared to when I first saw it. So good on you. The reason why we're attracted to this company is there's a concept called bundling and unbundling. And this is a natural process that happens in business and industries and markets over time. And if you look at the previous presenter on Telebionics, I believe is the company,
yep.
That's a great example of bundling. Taking a bunch of disparate solutions that may exist in individual devices, or some are connected, some aren't, and bundling them together in one device that can now present value. The way I look at QRS Web in comparison to like Amazon and things is they're unbundling Amazon, which Axel and Casey, you guys mentioned. It would be very hard for Amazon to unbundle themselves right now. It wouldn't make financial sense for them. So this represents an opportunity in the market to take something that was done with haste and very quickly and unbundle it to extract the value that's hidden within it. And those markets typically do very well from a multiple perspective and exits, and actually presenting that value right back to the person you unbundled it from. So it's just to give everyone an idea of why this is interesting. I think that term bundling and unbundling is something everyone should look into and ask themselves, am I bundling or unbundling, something in the industry? And that's going to impact how the market looks at you.
That's,
wow.
To your point, media, we have an example of another media area, the music industry, right? So who buys a CD nowadays with 20 songs? You buy one single song if you buy actually anything nowadays anymore, right?
Yeah.
This has completely changed the business model of the music industry.
Just the way iTunes has done. You buy songs by just the instead of buying the whole album, you just buy a single song. That is what we've done with QRS Web. Just give people what they want to read. And the fact that hard copies becomes easily redundant. They just occupy the space. So what QRS Web has done is you read on our platform, and you have, for example, if I only bought chapter 1, I have access to chapter 1 forever of your book. So it's going to enable a new possibility as regards acquiring knowledge, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a comment here. We are almost to the closing time. However, if Axel deems fit, he can keep going a bit. But what Randall and Axel just said is very interesting, because we started this event saying how we can convert strategy into a business plan. And it was very circular, because what Randall said about Axel and, about bundling and unbundling, and what Axel said about using the analogy of the music industry disruption, we returned to the strategy. So I really loved how we went around and kind of completed the knowledge. Yep. So Axel, floor is yours. If any other people want to talk, they can continue. Otherwise, when we hit 11, we can or not, we cannot finish. Up to you.
I would
so
like
yeah.
Please.
Sorry, please.
Oh, you first.
I saw you are an author already. So I'd like to know if you would like to give us a chance. Let's onboard your book and see what miracle can happen out of it.
No, I as I said, I sent you my email address. I work with a Nigerian company called Food Scheme that wants to teach proper nutrition, especially for the lower income population in Nigeria and other parts of Africa. So, and I worked with them, and I think I pivoted them from a non-profit organization to a profit organization. The people have to buy food anyhow. Why not actually become a distributor of the right food while you're teaching to eat the right food? And I've been working the last 6 months with them so far, and love that Randall would probably also take an ear to this. What I was going to say is, life is not always sweet. There's also lots of lemonade, right? But everything is a learning curve. And that's why we are in the innovation business. The importance of what BOSS Science does is that I lost one sight as a CEO of the right path. I did everything right, and then I did everything wrong anyhow. And I tell you the story that cost me the company. And so we had a new communication development technology that we initially used. We were back pocket funded. We initially used to create an end product. Somebody who wanted to have 350 decode engines, we wrote ourselves in a fraction of time, then coding it in C, and sold the whole package to the first 10 customers. In order to make it a complete communication stack, we needed to do further development. We raised $3.5 million. And the first thing I created was a focus group. I went to customers, engineers, and we presented of what we are going to do. The overwhelming answer was, we are never going to use this tool. We are so much better in hand coding than your scientific, well-tuned engine. That was their emotional belief. So I sat down with my CTO and said, Vladimir, we need to pivot the company. And he says, no, Axel, no. He was a stubborn Russian dude. No, Axel, we just need to try harder to convince them that we are right. And so I fell for this. Instead of directing that we create with the full-fledged stack end products again, we try to continue to sell the tool. And you can imagine if they already told us in the focus groups that they're never going to buy it, then the extra efforts and $3.5 million run rate didn't do us any favor, because the answer remained at the end of the day the same. When we were very limited time left, we got approached by analog devices to build a voice over IP protocol stack with our tool and sell the toolkit and the stack as one bundle to their the ship customers that are doing prototype development. And we didn't have the runway anymore to execute on this. So this is where I think that's where I learned that my gut instinct as a CEO, I need to be willing to even steamroll over other people, that when I instinctively know the right thing to do, we did the right thing, the focus group said us it's not going to work, then you need to stick to this. So that's a very classic example that you need to do what BOSS Life Science says in order to actually get the outcome, or it costs you your company in the worst case scenario, or it costs you your position. The venture capital says, yeah, I'm going to give you another $3 million, but you have to step down. I don't trust you anymore to execute with the next $3 million. Randall?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great story, especially to illustrate the point. I was inspired today. I think everyone did a great job. I mean, I am there with you. I understand how difficult this is, and even just the pitching, right? And coming up and coming in here and wondering if I'm doing it right, and at the same time getting my feedback that you should probably be pitching differently. I could understand that situation. So one, I want to just say I have empathy for everyone on here, and I'm inspired by each one of you. And I think it's really cool. And I hope I get to help you individually outside of here. BOSS Startup Science is called BOSS Startup Science for a reason, because we believe that building a business is a science, not an art. And there is art to being a founder, right? And there's creativity and there is opportunity and timing aligning perfectly, right? A lot of that does happen, but you shouldn't have to count on being lucky or using hope as a strategy to build your business. There is a formula for you to do it. It may not produce the $1 billion outcome that you are dreaming of, but it could produce a $10 million outcome or a $50 million outcome. So really take time in getting your foundation done the right way, and the formula will start to obviate itself to you as you get your foundation set up. So hope to join each of you on that journey.
Yeah, we are looking forward to the third segment and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and the seventh. We are building a wonderful library that is so educational for all the entrepreneurs, and we share the same values, Randall, Boss, and us. Our heart is to help entrepreneurs to succeed. And even sometimes if our feedback is harsh, we do this out of love, because we know if we don't hear the harsh words, then you will not think twice to actually do the necessary pivots. Yeah. So to my final word for today is everybody will get also a survey sent to us. You know, since this is also sponsored by the Tech Futures Group, and it's government wants to see feedback. So I encourage every single one of you, once you receive in your inbox the survey, which is a little spreadsheet, just to fill it out correctly and send it back to us. We are highly appreciative of that interaction, and then we can put this, and we can even learn from your feedback, which is also important for us. And that's my last words of today. Thank you so much, Casey. Now I turn the table around, my friend and philosopher. and we had a wonderful time already this week in Vegas, and we are really looking forward to all the next segments. Monday is our life science event, not in person, with JP Morgan. That is fantastic. Casey and I will be on there again in the whole of the afternoon. And then comes the next pitch opportunity with UC Berkeley this month down. So we had a very, very busy month. And we are looking forward to seeing all of you, and those which we see again. Love to see the changes and how you took in the feedback and how you pivoted this out. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thank you. I have a question, and first of all, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity and the feedback and everything. It was very valuable today. What is the next? Can we contact, or can we get the contact of who attend, that we can make a direct contact and see if we can, if there's an interest to move forward, or how it's work usually? Sorry.
Let's talk offline on it.
Okay.
We'll be in touch. All right.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Great weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Axel. Thank you, Randall, and thank you, Shadu.
Good to see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.